Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and welcome back to mixing a song from start to finish. Today, in this session, we're going to be mixing the piano track. We're going to be getting our piano up and running here in the mix along with our drums and our bass guitar, but before we dive in, if you're ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process, step by step, to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and continue along with this mix. We're kind of going to do the same process we did last week, right? Make a little tweak to what we have so far, so the drums and the bass guitar, and then continue along, and we're going to try and get our piano up and running here. So let me slip my headphones on, and we'll take a listen to where we left off. And remember, we are about 6 dB down on the master bus here, so we're listening a little bit quieter than the mastered volume for this track. It helps me set levels a bit more accurately here inside the mix. So let's take a listen to where we left off, and we'll keep plugging along. Things are sounding really good so far to me, so let's get our piano up here. I'm going to flip back into mono here for the moment, get our piano up leveled in the track, and then we'll get working. I'm pretty sure we're only going to need EQ and compression on it. So I like to set my piano level without the bass at first because it usually has more low end. I'll trim that low end out as we work on it. It helps me get it set with the kick and snare, and then I can flip the stereo and make sure it's like given that nice surround on the kick and snare. Let's focus in on the piano now. I'm going to pull in an EQ, and I'm going to pull in an 1176 here as well, or the FET comp here inside of Studio One. That should be all we need here. We'll see if we need anything else here. Going too far there, it starts to feel hollow. I don't want the piano to feel hollow. This is that kind of complicated realm between boosting and cutting here. We could see there was too much going on around this 300 hertz area. I started to pull it out a little bit. Once I got down here to around about 3 dB out, it started to feel hollow there in the middle. I don't want it to feel hollow. I still want it to have that presence there in the low mid area. but I feel like we need to boost more top end rather than cutting more mid-range here. So just 2 moves on the EQ so far. Rolling up the high pass filter here just over where the bottom end of our piano is, because again, our guitars and our bass are going to hold down this 80 hertz and 100 hertz area. I don't want them fighting with the bottom end on the piano. I want the low end to be coming again from as few sources as possible. So kick drum, bass guitar will hold down that area. Let's get our compressor in, and then we'll jump back to our EQ here. You can see we're only doing about 3 dB of compression. What I did here, I zoomed out, tried to find the loudest area, or the area with the most energy on the piano, and that looked like this big walk down right here in the middle of the song. So that's where we go, and we're doing our compression there. You don't want to layer on your compression in an area where there's not a lot of energy going on, because then when you do get to an area where there's a big energy jump, then you'll be doing way too much compression. So set your compressor at the area with the most energy, the most power, and you'll be golden from there on out. It looks like we got more energy here at the end. Let's see what the compressor's doing there. That's sounding good there to me at the end. Still doing only about that 3 dB of compression. You can hear just 3 dB of compression using the FET comp here on the piano. Gives it an extra kick of energy and an extra push, right? It feels like we have a bit more energy coming through on our piano, like he's hitting the keys a little bit harder. So take a listen with and without the compressor. So we'll start with, and then I'll take it out. You can hear our after and before. Wakes up the piano a little bit, helps it feel a little less flat. Without the compressor in, it kind of has that dull digital sort of sound because it is a digital keyboard, right? We kick this analog style compressor in, it gives it an extra kick of energy, an extra kick of character, helps it feel a bit more alive rather than so flat sounding. Let's go back here now and see if we need to boost any top end into our compressor. I like to boost the top end, as you've probably seen so far, into the compressor rather than boosting after. Any kind of low end, I like to boost after. I don't like to push low end into a compressor here. Just 2 boosts here. You can see I started with our high boost here at 8K, and then brought in something around 4K and then kind of turned them off and did the reverse here. We're getting more energy coming from the piano around this 4K area. That's where you're getting more of that top end attack coming from the piano. So I wanted to put that in first and get that right before I added any top end air to the piano here, that extra brightness or shine up on the top end. That it helps it feel more like a real piano as well, giving it this 8K boost here. But I wanted to get this 4K boost in here because it's making more impact across the piano overall, and it's probably pushing the compressor harder as well. So we're doing about a 4 dB boost there at 4K, and then about a 5 dB boost at 8K. So adding that extra shine and that presence lift up on the top end. So we were down at about -7 here, but before we pull it in and mix it into the mix, let me give you a before and after on the piano here. So here's before. Hear how much more alive the keyboard feels after we kick our processing in. It's got that brightness, it's got that attack up in the high mids. It's not too muddy, it's not carrying a bunch of low-end weight that it doesn't need, and it has some nice attack coming from the compressor. It's got that energy kick when it pushes down on some of those bigger notes, and it has that extra vintage character from this vintage style compressor. So that extra analog love from the FET style compressor, which helps it feel less flat and feel more real, have some depth to it inside the mix. So let's pull it back down here now and level it out with our drums and bass. Again, I'm going to mute our bass for the moment. We'll set it in with our drums and kick our bass in along with it. That's feeling really good so far. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bump the volume back up to 0 here on the main and listen to each instrument through one by one. So building the mix, the volume mix here from scratch one more time just to make sure everything's kosher. Gonna do the same kind of check here at a lower volume. but on a wider scale. So drums by themselves. That sounds okay. That's feeling really good there. I'm gonna pull the main back down to about -6, just so when we start coming in next time. I believe the next thing we're gonna tackle is probably the acoustic guitar or maybe the electric guitar, but the piano's feeling really, really good here. One more listen, a before and after here on the piano. You can hear where we started and where we end up with our piano track. Getting digital piano to sit here inside the mix, a little bit of EQ, pulling out some of the low mids there, making sure it's not too heavy or muddy. A little boost here in the top end, right? Adding some shine and adding some of that high mid attack. And then just a touch of compression, only doing about 3 dB of compression here with this analog FET style compressor. Helps bring up some extra attack, some extra punch, as well as give it some analog character to help it sit inside the mix. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.